You wake to the creak of your wooden shutters, dawn's pale light sneaking through the cracks like a thief. You're a farmer in Elder Grove, a small village nestled deep in the kingdom of Vern, where the hills rise like the bones of some ancient beast. Your name is Torin, and the air in your cottage is damp, heavy with the scent of earth and the faint smoke of last night's fire. Now just embers in the hearth. Your straw mattress rustles as you sit up, the coarse wool blanket scratching your skin. It's no lord's feather bed, but it keeps the morning chill at bay. Outside, the rooster crows sharp and angry as if the world's personally offended it. You stretch, your joints cracking like dry kindling, and shuffle across the creaking floorboards to the hearth. The fire's low, but a few prods with the iron poker and a handful of twigs bring it flickering back to life. Shadows dance on the rough walls of your small cottage. Just one room with a worn table, a single stool, and a chest for your few possessions. A bundle of dried herbs hangs from the rafters, their faint earthy scent mingling with the smoke. Your mother used to say they kept ill spirits away. You're not sure you believe it, but you leave them there. Tradition's a stubborn thing. You pull on your tunic, the wool thin at the elbows, and lace up your boots, still crusted with yesterday's mud. No time to clean them. The day's work waits. You grab a hunk of rye bread from the table, stale but filling, and chew as you step outside. The air bites your face, crisp and sharp, carrying the scent of pine from the wormwood, the vast forest that hems Elder Grove in. The village is stirring. Smoke curls from chimneys. A cart clatters in the distance, and a child's laugh rings out, bright and brief. Elder Grove sits in a shallow valley, its thatched cottages huddled together, their roofs glistening with dew. Beyond them, fields of barley and rye stretch toward the wormwood's edge, where the trees stand dark and watchful. Folk call it the wormwood for the old tales. Stories of scaled beasts slithering through the shadows, their eyes like lanterns. You've never seen such things, but you felt the forest's gaze when you ventured too close. It's not a place for lingering. You head to the village well, bucket swinging in your hand. The square's quiet, save for old Mara sweeping her doorstep. She nods at you, her eyes sharp despite her age. "Mind the wind today," she says, her voice like gravel. "Smells of trouble." You grunt a reply. Mara's always got a warning. Storms, spirits, or just her aching bones. Sometimes she's right. Sometimes she's just old. You crank the well's handle, the rope groaning as the bucket drops. The water's cold, clear, with a faint mineral tang. You splash your face, the shock chasing away sleep's fog, then fill the bucket and haul it back to your cottage. You set a pot over the fire, toss in a handful of oats, porridge again, like most days. If the bees are kind, you might drizzle some honey on it. While it simmers, you check the snares in your garden patch out back. The soil's dark, heavy with spring's promise, but it's too early for much to grow. A few turn you wake to the creak of your wooden shutters, dawn's pale light sneaking through the cracks like a thief. You're a farmer in Elder Grove, a small village nestled deep in the kingdom of Vern, where the hills rise like the bones of some ancient beast. Your name is Torin, and the air in your cottage is damp, heavy with the scent of earth and the faint smoke of last night's fire, now just embers in the hearth. Your straw mattress rustles as you sit up, the coarse wool blanket scratching your skin. It's no lord's feather bed, but it keeps the morning chill at bay. Outside, the rooster crows, sharp and angry, as if the world's personally offended it. You stretch, your joints cracking like dry kindling, and shuffle across the creaking floorboards to the hearth. The fire's low, but a few prods with the iron poker and a handful of twigs bring it flickering back to life. Shadows dance on the rough walls of your small cottage. Just one room with a worn table, a single stool, and a chest for your few possessions. A bundle of dried herbs hangs from the rafters, their faint, earthy scent mingling with the smoke. Your mother used to say they kept ill spirits away. You're not sure you believe it, but you leave them there. Tradition's a stubborn thing. You pull on your tunic, the wool thin at the elbows, and lace up your boots, still crusted with yesterday's mud. No time to clean them. The day's work waits. You grab a hunk of rye bread from the table, stale but filling, and chew as you step outside. The air bites your face, crisp and sharp, carrying the scent of pine from the wormwood, the vast forest that hems Eldergrove in. The village is stirring. Smoke curls from chimneys, a cart clatters in the distance, and a child's laugh rings out, bright and brief. Eldergrove sits in a shallow valley, its thatched cottages huddled together, their roofs glistening with dew. Beyond them, fields of barley and rye stretch toward the wormwood's edge, where the trees stand dark and watchful. Folk call it the wormwood for the old tales, stories of scaled beasts slithering through the shadows, their eyes like lanterns. You've never seen such things, but you felt the forest's gaze when you ventured too close. It's not a place for lingering. You head to the village well, bucket swinging in your hand. The square's quiet, save for old Mara, sweeping her doorstep. She nods at you, her eyes sharp despite her age. "Mind the wind today," she says, her voice like gravel. "Smells of trouble." You grunt a reply. Mara's always got a warning. Storms, spirits, or just her aching bones. Sometimes she's right. Sometimes she's just old. You crank the well's handle, the rope groaning as the bucket drops. The water's cold, clear, with a faint mineral tang. You splash your face, the shock chasing away sleep's fog, then fill the bucket and haul it back to your cottage. You set a pot over the fire, toss in a handful of oats, porridge again, like most days. If the bees are kind, you might drizzle some honey on it. While it simmers, you check the snares in your garden patch out back. The soil's dark, heavy with spring's promise, but it's too early for much to grow. A few turnips, maybe, if the frost spares them. The snares are empty. Rabbits have been scarce, and there's talk of something prowling the wormwood. Something bigger than a fox. You try not to dwell on it. Back inside, the porridge is ready, steaming in its wooden bowl. You eat quickly, the heat warming your hands. It's plain, but it fills you. You're no lord with platters of venison, but you're no beggar either. Your plot, your tools, your hands, they keep you alive. You step outside again, the sun just cresting the hills. Eldergrove hums with life. Carts rumble, dogs bark, the blacksmith's hammer rings like a heartbeat. Your field's a short walk, past the mill and Brenna's alehouse. The path's rutted, slick with mud, and you watch your step. Your scythe's over your shoulder, its blade wrapped to stay sharp. It's old, nicked, but it cuts true. Your field is a patchwork of green and brown, the barley just breaking through the soil. It's stubborn land, but you know its ways. You set to work, pulling weeds, checking for blight. The sun climbs, and soon you're sweating, your hands aching where the scythe's handle rubs. The work's dull, but there's a rhythm to it, a quiet peace. The world shrinks to the dirt under your nails, the rustle of stalks, the cry of a hawk overhead. At midday, you pause, drinking from your water skin. The village feels distant, though you see its chimney smoke. Out here, it's just you and the land, and the wormwood always there at the edge of your sight. You've heard the tales since you were a boy, how the forest is older than Vern, older than the king's stone castles. They say magic lives in its roots, its mist. Not the bright kind bards sing of, but something darker, quieter, something that makes you feel small. You shake off the thought and swing the scythe again. The barley won't tend itself. But as you work, you glance at the forest, just once. And for a moment you swear you see something, a shadow, too big for a deer, moving where it shouldn't. Your heart stumbles, but when you look again, it's gone. Just the wind, you tell yourself, just the wind. The day drags on, the sun sliding toward the hills. Your back's stiff, your hands raw, but the field's better for it. You'll head back soon, maybe stop at the alehouse for Brenna's ale. Her tongue's sharp, but her brew's worth it. For now, you sit on a stone at the field's edge, catching your breath. The air's cooler, the light soft. Eldergrove glows in the distance, its roofs like moss on the earth. It's home, for all its flaws. And tomorrow, you'll do it all again. You sling the scythe over your shoulder, its familiar weight settling against your back as you start the trek back to Eldergrove. The sun's dipping low, casting long shadows across the fields, and the air's taken on a sharper bite. Your legs ache from the day's work, each step kicking up little puffs of dust from the rutted path. You pass the mill, its wheel groaning as the stream churns, and catch sight of Tobin, the miller, heaving sacks of flour onto a cart. He gives you a tired nod, his face streaked with sweat and dust. You nod back, words unnecessary. That's the way of things here. Work speaks louder than anything else. The village square comes into view, and with it the warm glow of Brenna's alehouse. Laughter and the clink of mugs spill out through the open door, a beacon after the quiet of the fields. You're drawn to it, your throat dry and your body craving a moment's rest. You push inside, the heat of the room wrapping around you like a cloak. The air's thick with the scent of ale, wood smoke, and fresh bread, and the fire in the corner crackles, its light flickering across the worn beams. The place is alive. Farmers, weavers, a handful of travelers in dusty cloaks, all gathered to shake off the day. You spot an empty stool by the bar and claim it, easing the scythe down beside you. Brenna's there, her braids swinging as she pours ale from a clay jug. She's sturdy, with a face that can be kind or fierce depending on her mood, and eyes that miss nothing. "Torin," she says, sliding a mug your way before you even ask. "You look like the field's been fighting back." You manage a half smile, your hands closing around the mug. "It always does," you mutter, taking a sip. The ale's bitter strong, with a faint warmth that spreads through your chest. "It's good, worth the copper coin you set on the counter." Brenna snatches it up with a nod, already turning to another customer. The alehouse hums around you. A group of men at a nearby table bicker over the price of wool, their voices growing louder with each drink. In the corner, a bard strums a lute, singing of a hero who faced a beast in the wormwood long ago. The tale's familiar, half-truth at best, but it weaves into the room's rhythm, comforting in its repetition. You lean back, letting the sounds wash over you, the ale easing the ache in your shoulders. Then you feel it, a prickling at the back of your neck like someone's watching. You glance around, casual as you can, and spot him, an old man by the fire alone. He's older than old Mara, his face like weathered leather, his cloak patched and frayed. His hands grip a staff carved with strange, twisting runes that catch the firelight. No one else seems to notice him, but his eyes, sharp like chipped flint, are fixed on you. Not blatant, but enough to make your skin crawl. Eldergrove doesn't see many strangers, and those who come don't linger. You take another sip of ale, trying to shake the feeling, but it sticks. You're about to finish your drink and head home when the old man rises, slow and deliberate, and makes his way toward you. The crowd parts without seeming to notice, like he's a shadow slipping through. He stops by your stool, his staff tapping the floor, and looks at you with those piercing eyes. "Torin of Eldergrove," he says, his voice low, rough as the wind over the hills. Your mug freezes halfway to your lips. You've never seen this man before, never spoken your name in here tonight. "How do you know me?" you ask, your voice steadier than you feel. He raises a hand, silencing you. "The wormwood speaks," he says, "and it has spoken of you." You laugh, a short, sharp sound, thinking it's some jest, but his face doesn't shift. The ale turns heavy in your stomach. "The forest doesn't talk," you say, leaning back, but the words sound hollow. "And if it does, it's got no use for me." He doesn't blink, just watches you, and you feel that weight again, the same one from the field when you saw that shadow in the trees. The bard's song fades, or maybe it's just your ears, but the room feels quieter, the fire dimmer. "You saw it," he says, not a question. "A shadow, moving where none should be." Your mouth goes dry. You want to call him mad, to drain your mug and walk away, but the memory of that flicker in the wormwood stops you. You set the mug down, your hand steady despite the thud of your heart. "Who are you?" you ask. He smiles, thin and sharp, like a knife's edge. "A wanderer, a listener. Call me Gavith if you must." He leans closer, his voice a whisper. "The forest is waking, Torin. Something stirs in its heart, something older than the stones of this land. And it knows your name. You want to run, to shove past him and out into the night, but your legs feel rooted. The alehouse carries on. Laughter, clinking mugs, the bard's lute. But it's like you're in a bubble, just you and this Gavith and his words. "I'm no one," you say, your voice rough. "A farmer. I work my field, pay my tithes, keep my head down. Whatever's in the wormwood can stay there. Gaveth's eyes soften, but it's not kindness. It's something heavier, like he's seen too much to argue. The forest doesn't care what you are, he says. It chooses who it will, and it has chosen you. He turns, his cloak swirling, and walks out the door before you can respond. The room snaps back. Voices, warmth, the bard's song. You sit there staring at the empty space where he stood, your heart pounding. Brenna's voice cuts through. Torin, you all right? Look like you've seen a spirit. Maybe I have, you mutter, finishing your ale in one long gulp. You toss another coin on the counter and head for the door, the night air sharp against your face. The square's quiet, save for a stray dog sniffing the dirt. Your cottage isn't far, but each step feels heavy. Gaveth's words clinging to you like damp wool. The wormwood looms in the distance, a black smear against the stars. You reach your door, the hinges creaking as you push inside. The fire's down to coals, the air cool and still. You don't bother stoking it, just kick off your boots and collapse onto your mattress. The straw crunches beneath you and you stare at the rafters, the herbs swaying in the draft. Sleep feels distant, like a horse that slipped its tether. The wormwood speaks, he said, and it has spoken of you. You pull the blanket tight, trying to focus on the field, the barley, the weight of the scythe. Simple things, safe things. But as your eyes drift shut, you see it again. That shadow in the trees, moving where it shouldn't. And for the first time in years, you whisper a prayer to the old gods, the ones your mother taught you. You don't know if they're listening, but you hope they are. Something tells you you'll need them. You wake to the faint creak of your cottage's wooden shutters, the dawn's gray light barely seeping through. Sleep was restless, Gaveth's words twisting through your dreams like thorns. The wormwood, the shadow, your name spoken by something ancient. You lie still for a moment, the straw mattress prickling beneath you, the coarse blanket heavy on your chest. The air's cool, laced with the scent of old smoke and the faint earthy tang of the herbs hanging above. Outside, the village stirs. A cow lows, a bucket clanks at the well. Eldergrove is waking, same as always, but today feels different, like the world's holding its breath. You rise, your body stiff from yesterday's work, and shuffle to the hearth. The embers are faint, but a few prods with the poker and a handful of kindling coax them into flame. The fire's warmth pushes back the chill as you pull on your worn tunic and lace your muddy boots. You grab a crust of rye bread, hard as stone but all you've got, and chew slowly, the taste familiar, grounding. You try to focus on the day ahead, the field, the barley, the rhythm of the hoe. Simple things to drown out the echo of Gaveth's voice. The forest is waking. You step outside, the air sharp against your face, carrying the piney breath of the wormwood. The village is quiet, its thatched roofs glistening with dew under the rising sun. You grab your hoe and head for the field, the path rutted and slick beneath your boots. The wormwood looms to your left, its dark edge a constant presence. You keep your eyes down, watching the dirt, the pebbles, anything but the trees. You don't want to see that shadow again. Don't want to feel the forest's gaze. Your field waits, its barley sprouts poking through the soil like fragile promises. You set to work, the hose handle smooth in your calloused hands. The scrape of metal against earth, the soft rip of weeds pulling free, it's a rhythm you know, a tether to the ordinary. Sweat beads on your brow as the sun climbs, the morning's chill giving way to warmth. You move steadily, row by row, checking for blight, tossing stones to the field's edge. The work's hard, but it's yours, and for a while it keeps the wormwood's shadow at bay. Mid-morning you pause, wiping your brow and drinking from your water skin. The village feels far off, its chimneys smoke a faint haze. Out here it's just you and the land, but then you hear it, a sound, low and wrong, like a branch snapping under too much weight. It comes from the wormwood's edge, where the trees stand thick and silent. Your heart kicks, and you grip the hoe tighter, scanning the forest. Nothing moves. The leaves are still, the air heavy. You wait, breath held, but the sound doesn't repeat. A deer, you tell yourself, or a falling branch. But your hands are slick with sweat, and the hoe feels flimsy, no match for whatever might lurk beyond the trees. You turn back to the field, working faster now, keeping the forest behind you. The sun's higher, the sky a pale blue streaked with wispy clouds. By noon, the weeds are cleared, piled in a heap to dry, and your back aches with the good kind of pain. Earned. Honest. You're ready to head back, maybe grab a bowl of pottage at home before checking the snares again. But as you sling the hoe over your shoulder, you catch movement in the corner of your eye. Not from the wormwood, but from the path leading to the village. It's old Mara hobbling toward you, her shawl tight around her shoulders. She's not one for leaving the square, so her coming here sets your nerves on edge. You wait as she approaches, her eyes sharp, despite the lines etched into her face. "Torin," she says, her voice low, like she's afraid the wind might carry it. "You've got a look about you, like you've heard something you weren't meant to." You shift. The hoe's weight suddenly heavy. "Just working, Mara," you say, but the words feel thin. She's always been uncanny, Mara, with her talk of omens and her knack for knowing things she shouldn't. She steps closer, her gaze flicking to the wormwood before settling on you. "The forest's restless," she says. "My bones feel it, same as they felt the storm that took the miller's roof 3 winters back. Something's stirring, and it's got its eye on you." Your stomach twists, Gavith's words echoing hers. You want to laugh, to brush it off as old woman nonsense, but the memory of that shadow stops you. "I'm no one, Mara," you say, your voice rough. "Just a farmer. The wormwood's got no business with me." She snorts, a dry, humorless sound. "The wormwood doesn't care what you think you are. It's older than kings, older than the gods we pray to. And when it wants you, it finds you." She pauses, her eyes softening, just a touch. "Mind yourself, Torin. Keep your wits sharp and your door barred." She turns, hobbling back toward the village before you can answer. You stand there, the hoe dangling in your hand, her words sinking into you like rain into dry earth. The field feels too open now, the wormwood too close. You start walking, faster than you mean to, the path blurring under your boots. Eldergrove comes into view, its familiar roofs a small comfort. The square's busier now. Carts creak, children chase each other, the blacksmith's hammer rings steady. You stop at the well, splashing water on your face, the cold grounding you. But Mara's warning clings, and you can't shake the feeling that something's watching, waiting. You head home, the cottage's familiar creak welcoming you. You set the hoe by the door and stoke the fire, the flames a small defiance against the unease in your gut. You ladle pottage from the pot, oats and a few wilted greens, nothing fancy, and eat slowly, the warmth spreading through you. The day's not done yet. You'll check the snares, maybe mend a fence before dark. But as you sit, the herbs above swaying in the draft, you can't help but glance at the shutters, half expecting to see something peering through. The wormwood's out there, silent, patient. And for the first time, you wonder if it really does know your name. You finish your pottage, the wooden bowl warm in your hands, and set it aside. The fire crackles, casting soft shadows across your cottage's walls. But it does little to ease the weight in your chest. Mara's words, Gavith's warnings, that shadow in the wormwood. They cling to you, heavy as wet wool. You try to focus on the familiar, the creak of the floorboards, the faint scent of the herbs overhead, the rhythm of eldergrove outside. But the world feels off-kilter, like a cart with a wobbly wheel, and you can't shake the sense that something's coming. You rise, brushing crumbs from your tunic, and grab your cloak from the chest. It's patched, threadbare in places, but it'll keep the evening chill off. The snares need checking, and there's a section of fence by your garden patch that's leaning worse than it should. Work's the best way to quiet a restless mind, so you step outside, the door groaning shut behind you. The village is settling into dusk, the sky a deep indigo streaked with fading gold. Lanterns flicker in windows, and the air carries the scent of wood smoke and baking bread. A few folk hurry home, their shadows long and thin, but the square's mostly empty now, save for a stray cat slinking across the dirt. You head to your garden patch, a small plot behind the cottage where you coax turnips and cabbages from the stubborn soil. The snares are set along the edge, near where the ground slopes toward the wormwood. You move carefully, checking each one, but they are empty again. No rabbits, no sign of anything. Just the faint rustle of leaves in the breeze. You straighten, wiping your hands on your cloak, and glance at the forest. It's closer here than at the field, its trees looming like silent sentinels. The darkness between them feels alive, watchful. You turn away, your heart beating a little faster, and focus on the fence. The wooden posts are old, weathered by years of rain and frost, and one's tilted so far it's barely standing. You fetch a mallet from the shed and start pounding it back into place, the thud of wood against earth steadying you. The work's simple, repetitive, and for a while it pushes the wormwood to the back of your mind. But as you hammer, you hear it, a low, guttural sound, not quite a growl, from the direction of the forest. You freeze, mallet raised, your breath catching. The sound doesn't come again, but the silence that follows is worse, thick and heavy, like the air before a storm. You lower the mallet, scanning the trees. Nothing moves, no glint of eyes or flicker of shadow, but your skin prickles all the same. You tell yourself it's a boar, maybe, or a wolf strayed too close, but deep down you know it's not. You finish the fence quickly, your hands less steady now, and gather your tools. The village feels too far, the cottage too exposed. You head back inside, barring the door behind you, a habit you've never bothered with before. The fire's still burning, its light a small comfort. You sit on the stool, staring at the flames, trying to make sense of it all. Gaveth, Mara, the noises, the shadow. They're pieces of a puzzle you don't want to solve. You're a farmer, not a hero from some bard's tale. You work the land, pay your tithes, keep your head down. But the wormwood doesn't care, Mara said, and Gaveth's voice echoes, "It has chosen you." You shake your head, trying to clear it, and decide to busy yourself. You mend a tear in your cloak, the needle's rhythm calming, though your eyes keep darting to the shutters. Outside, the wind picks up, rattling the wood, and you tense each time it moans. When the mending's done, you stoke the fire one last time and check the door's bar again. It's solid, but it feels like a flimsy shield against whatever's out there. You climb into bed, the straw mattress crunching beneath you. The blanket's heavy, but it doesn't warm the chill in your bones. You stare at the rafters, the herbs swaying faintly, their shadows dancing in the firelight. Sleep feels like a distant country, one you can't reach tonight. You try to think of the field, the barley, the weight of the hoe in your hands, things you can touch, things you know. But the wormwood's presence seeps in, its darkness pressing against the cottage walls. As your eyes grow heavy, you hear it again. Not a growl this time, but a whisper, so faint it might be the wind. It's not words, not exactly, but it feels like a call, like something reaching out from the forest's heart. Your breath catches, and you pull the blanket tighter, willing sleep to come. The fire pops, the wind hums, and the night stretches on. You don't know what's waiting in the wormwood, but you feel it deep in your gut. It's not done with you yet. You wake to the faint glow of dawn creeping through the shutters. The air in your cottage cool and heavy with the scent of old smoke. Sleep came in fragments, haunted by that whisper from the wormwood, a sound that wasn't quite words, but felt like it knew you. You lie still, the straw mattress prickling beneath you, the coarse blanket tangled from your restless turning. The herbs above sway faintly, their shadows stretching across the rafters in the dim light. Outside, Eldergrove stirs. A dog barks, a cart rumbles faintly. But the world feels quieter today, like it's waiting for something to break. You rise, your body aching from yesterday's work and the tension that settled in your bones. The fire's down to ash, so you kneel by the hearth, coaxing it back with kindling and a spark from the flint. The flames catch slowly, their warmth a small comfort against the unease that's taken root. You pull on your tunic, the wool rough against your skin, and lace your boots, ignoring the mud caked on them. A hunk of rye bread sits on the table, hard as ever, but you tear off a piece and chew, the familiar bitterness grounding you. You want to focus on the day, sow more barley, check the snares again, but Gaveth's words, Mara's warning, and that shadow in the forest keep circling like crows over a field. You step outside, the air sharp with the scent of dew and pine. The village is waking, its thatched roofs catching the first light, but there's a hush to it. a stillness that makes your skin prickle. You grab your sack of barley seed and a wooden dibber, heading for the field. The path is familiar, rutted and slick, but you keep your eyes on the ground, avoiding the wormwood's dark edge to your left. It's closer than you'd like. Its trees standing silent, their branches like fingers reaching into the mist. You quicken your pace, the sack heavy on your shoulder. Your field is as you left it, the barley sprouts dotting the soil, the weed pile still heaped in the corner. You set to work, using the dibber to poke holes in the earth, dropping seeds in with practiced care. The rhythm is steady. Poke, drop, cover, step. But your mind wanders. You keep glancing at the wormwood, half expecting that shadow to flicker again. The forest is quiet, no snaps or growls, but its silence feels heavier today, like it's holding its breath. You shake your head, muttering to yourself to focus. The barley needs you. The village needs you. The wormwood can keep its secrets. Mid-morning you pause, wiping sweat from your brow. The sun's higher now, burning off the mist, and the field's half-sown neat rows stretching behind you. You drink from your water skin, the water cool against your throat, and sit on a stone to catch your breath. The village's chimney smoke is faint in the distance, Eldergrove feeling farther away than it should. You're alone out here, save for the hawk circling overhead and the ever-present wormwood. You try not to look at it, but your eyes betray you, drawn to the dark line of trees. Nothing moves, but you feel it. A weight, like eyes on your back. You're about to return to the sowing when you hear footsteps, soft but deliberate, on the path. You turn, hand tightening on the dibber, and see a figure approaching. Not Mara this time, but Tobin, the miller. He's a big man, broad from years of hauling sacks, but his face is drawn, his eyes darting toward the forest before settling on you. "Torin," he says, his voice low, like he's afraid to wake something. "You all right out here?" You nod, though it feels like a lie. "Just sowing," you say, gesturing to the field. "What brings you?" He shifts, rubbing the back of his neck. "Heard something last night near the mill. A sound, like, I don't know, like something big moving in the trees. Woke my boy, scared him half to death." He pauses, glancing at the wormwood again. "And Mara's been talking, saying the forest's stirring. Figured I'd check on you, seeing as your field's so close." Your stomach tightens, the memory of that guttural sound by your fence flooding back. "Heard something, too," you admit, your voice quieter than you mean. "Near my place last night. Didn't see anything, but..." You trail off, not sure how to finish. Tobin nods, like he expected it. "Something's not right," he says. "Haven't seen rabbits by the stream in days, and the birds are quieter than they should be. Like they know something we don't." He hesitates, then adds, "You seen that old man, the one at Brenna's? Gavith, he called himself?" You stiffen, Gavith's flinty eyes flashing in your mind. "Yeah," you say. "He spoke to me. Said the wormwood's waking, that it knows my name." Tobin's face pales, just a fraction, but he covers it with a grunt. "Sounds like trouble. Keep your wits about you, Torin. And maybe stay clear of the forest edge for a bit." He claps your shoulder, a heavy, reassuring gesture, and heads back toward the village, his steps quicker than they were coming. You stand there, the dibber loose in your hand, Tobin's words mixing with Mara's and Gavith's. The field feels too open, the wormwood too close. You force yourself back to work, sowing the last rows with hurried hands, the seeds spilling more than they should. By midday, the job's done, and you're sweating, your back stiff, but the field fuller for it. You gather your tools and start for home, the path feeling longer, the forest's shadow stretching farther. Eldergrove is busier now, the square alive with carts and voices. You stop at the well, splashing water on your face, the cold a brief anchor. A few folk nod as they pass, but you catch their glances toward the wormwood, quick and uneasy. Word spreading, you realize, about the noises, the quiet animals, the forest's restlessness. You head to your cottage, the doors creak, a small comfort. Inside, you stoke the fire and set a pot of water to boil, planning to cook the last of your greens. But as you move, you keep glancing at the shutters, the barred door, the herbs overhead. They feel like flimsy wards against whatever's out there. You eat your meal, greens and a bit of porridge warmed over the fire, and try to plan the rest of your day. The snares can wait. You'll mend a cracked bucket instead, something to keep your hands busy. But as you sit, the fire's glow softening the room, you can't shake the feeling that the wormwood's watching, its whisper lingering in the air. You're no hero, no knight from the tales, but the forest doesn't seem to care. And deep down you know this is only the beginning. You sit by the fire, the cracked bucket in your lap, a strip of leather and a needle in your hands. The stitching is slow work, each pull of the thread a small anchor to keep your mind from wandering to the wormwood. The flames crackle, casting warm light across the cottage, but the glow feels fragile, like it could be snuffed out by the darkness pressing against your shutters. The herbs overhead sway faintly, their scent mingling with the smoke, and you try to focus on their familiar comfort. But every creak of the roof, every gust of wind rattling the door, makes you tense, half expecting that whisper from the forest to seep through the walls. You finish the bucket, setting it by the hearth, and lean back on your stool. The day's work is done. Field sown, fence mended, meal eaten, but the weight in your chest hasn't lifted. Tobin's words, Mara's warnings, Gavith's cryptic talk, they're piling up, heavy as stones. You're a farmer, not some figure from a bard's tale, yet the wormwood seems to have other ideas. You glance at the barred door, its iron latch solid, but somehow inadequate. The village feels far away, Eldergrove's bustle muted by the cottage walls, and the forest feels too close, its presence a shadow you can't shake. You decide to check the snares one last time before night falls. Better to keep moving than to sit here, jumping at every sound. You grab your cloak, its patched wool heavy on your shoulders, and a small knife from the chest, just in case. The door groans as you unbar it, and you step into the evening. The sky is a deep violet, the last traces of sunlight bleeding into the hills. Eldergrove is quiet now, lanterns glowing in windows, the square empty save for a stray dog nosing at the dirt. The air is cool, sharp with pine, and the wormwood looms at the village's edge, its trees black against the fading light. You move quickly to your garden patch, the snares set near the slope toward the forest. The ground is soft, the dew already settling, and you check each snare with care. They're empty, as you expected. Rabbits have been scarce for talk days, and Tobin's talk of silent birds and missing game echoes in your mind. You straighten, wiping your hands on your cloak, and freeze. There it is again, a sound. Not the growl from before, but a soft rustle, like something heavy brushing through undergrowth. It's coming from the wormwood, closer than it should be. Your hand tightens on the knife, its blade small but sharp. You scan the trees, their branches swaying faintly in the breeze, but the darkness between them is impenetrable. No eyes glint, no shadow moves, yet the rustle comes again deliberate, like footsteps pacing just out of sight. Your heart pounds and you back away from the snares, keeping the forest in view. The cottage is only steps away, but it feels like a mile. The open ground between you and the door too exposed. You move slowly, eyes locked on the trees, until your back brushes the cottage wall. You slip inside, barring the door with shaking hands. The fire's glow welcomes you, but it does little to calm your pulse. You set the knife on the table, its blade catching the light, and sit heavily on the stool. The rustle replays in your mind, too purposeful to be a deer or a fox. You tell yourself it's nothing, just the forest playing tricks, but Gavith's words cut through. The forest is waking. You glance at the shutters, half expecting to see something peering through, but they're solid, the gaps too narrow for anything to slip inside. Still, you check them, tugging each one to be sure. You stoke the fire, adding a log to keep it burning through the night, and try to settle your nerves. The cottage is safe, you tell yourself. It stood for years, through storms and winters, and it'll stand tonight. You climb into bed, the straw mattress crunching beneath you, and pull the blanket tight. The herbs overhead cast long shadows, their scent a faint reminder of your mother's old tales. Stories of wards and spirits, of the wormwood's ancient hunger. You never believed them. Not really, but now you're not so sure. Sleep is elusive, the night stretching long and heavy. The wind hums outside, rattling the shutters, and every creak of the cottage feels like a warning. You lie still, staring at the rafters, the fire's glow fading to a soft red. Then you hear it, a sound so faint you almost miss it, like a breath against the door. Not a knock, not a scratch, but a presence, deliberate and close. Your breath catches and you sit up, eyes fixed on the door. The bar holds, the latch unmoving, but the air feels thicker, charged, like the moment before lightning strikes. You wait, heart thudding, but the sound doesn't come again. The night returns to its usual noises, wind, creaking wood, the distant hoot of an owl. You lie back, blanket pulled to your chin, and try to convince yourself it was nothing. Just the wind, just your mind, stirred up by Gaveth and Mara and the forest's tricks. But as your eyes drift shut, the wormwood's whisper lingers. Not in your ears, but in your bones, a call you can't ignore. You're a farmer, yes, but the forest has marked you, and deep down you know there's no turning back. You wake with a start, the faint light of dawn barely piercing the gloom of your cottage. The air is cold, the fire long since dwindled to gray ash, and the blanket is twisted around you from a night of uneasy dreams. Fragments linger, dark trees, a shadow moving just out of sight, that whisper calling your name. You lie still, the straw mattress creaking beneath you, and listen to the world outside. Eldergrove is stirring. A rooster crows, a distant voice calls to a child. But the sounds feel muted, overshadowed by the wormwood's presence, like a weight pressing on the village. You rise, your breath visible in the chill, and shuffle to the hearth. Your hands tremble slightly as you strike the flint, coaxing a spark to catch the kindling. The flames are slow to grow, but their warmth steadies you, pushing back the shadows clinging to the walls. You pull on your tunic, its wool rough and familiar, and lace your boots, the mud now a permanent part of them. There's no bread left, so you settle for a sip of water from the bucket, its mineral tang sharp on your tongue. You try to focus on the day, maybe check the barley, mend a tool. But the memory of last night's sound, that breath against the door, sits heavy in your gut. You glance at the barred door, the iron latch still in place, and hesitate. The wormwood feels closer today, its influence seeping into the cottage like damp through wood. You shake your head, muttering to yourself to stop being a fool and grab your cloak. Work waits, and sitting here jumping at shadows won't help. You unbar the door, the hinges groaning, and step outside. The village is bathed in pale light, the thatched roofs slick with dew. The air is crisp, laced with pine and the faint smoke of morning fires. Eldergrove looks the same as ever, but there's a tension in the air, a quiet that's more than just dawn's hush. You decide to head to the village square before the field, maybe see if Brenna's got bread or if Tobin's heard anything new. The path is familiar, the dirt packed hard under your boots, but you keep glancing at the wormwood, its dark edge looming to the west. No sounds come from it, no rustles, no whispers, but its silence is worse, like a predator lying in wait. You quicken your pace, the cloak flapping against your legs, and reach the square. It's busier than you expected, folk moving with purpose, their faces drawn. A few glance your way, their nods curt, their eyes flicking toward the forest. Brenna's alehouse is open, its door propped wide, and you step inside, the warmth hitting you like a wave. The scent of fresh bread and ale fills the air, a comfort that feels fleeting. Brenna's behind the counter, her braid tucked under a scarf, her hands busy kneading dough. She looks up, her eyes sharp. "Torin," she says, wiping flour from her hands. "You've got to look like you haven't slept in days." You manage a grunt, settling onto a stool. "Bread?" you ask, fishing a copper from your pocket. She nods, slicing a small loaf and sliding it your way. "Heard anything strange?" she asks, her voice low like she's testing you. You tear off a piece of bread, its crust warm and chewy. "Heard something last night," you admit, keeping your voice steady. "Near my place. Like something at the door." Her eyes narrow and she leans closer, elbows on the counter. "You're not the only one. Tobin's boy swears he saw something by the mill. Big, he says, bigger than a wolf. And Mara's been muttering about the wormwood all morning, scaring the children." She pauses, glancing at the door. "Folk are nervous, Torin. Haven't seen the village like this since the fever took half of us 10 winters back." You swallow the bread, its warmth doing little to ease the knot in your chest. "What do they think it is?" you ask, though you're not sure you want the answer. Brenna shrugs, but her eyes are troubled. Some say wolves, others say spirits. Mara thinks it's older, something tied to the forest itself. You know how she is. She hesitates, then adds, "That old man Gaveth, he was back last night after you left. Didn't say much, just sat by the fire watching. Left before dawn." Your hand freezes on the bread, Gaveth's flinty eyes flashing in your mind. "He say anything about me?" you ask, your voice quieter than you mean. She shakes her head. "Not a word. But he looked, I don't know, like he was waiting for something or someone." You finish the bread in silence, Brenna's words sinking in. The alehouse is quieter than usual. The few folk inside speaking in hushed tones, their eyes darting to the windows. You thank Brenna, leaving another copper, and step back into the square. The air feels heavier now, the wormwood's shadow stretching farther. You're about to head to your field when you spot Tobin by the well, filling a bucket. His face is grim, his shoulders hunched. "Torin," he calls, waving you over. You approach, the dirt crunching under your boots. "You hear anything else?" he asks, his voice low. You nod, recounting the sound at your door, the rustle by the snares. His jaw tightens and he glances at the forest. "My boy's not sleeping," he says. "Keeps saying he saw eyes in the trees glowing like lanterns. I told him it's just stories, but..." He trails off, shaking his head. "I'm taking him to the mill today, keeping him close. You should do the same. Stay near the village, at least for now." You want to argue, to say your field needs you, but the memory of that breath against the door stops you. "I'll think on it," you say, though you're not sure what you'll do. Tobin nods, hefting his bucket, and heads off. You stand by the well, the village humming around you, but it feels fragile, like a single spark could set it ablaze. The wormwood looms, its silence louder than any sound. You head home, the cottages creak a small comfort. Inside, you stoke the fire and sit, staring at the flames. The field can wait, you decide. Today you'll stay close, mend tools, keep the door barred. But as the fire pops, the herbs swaying overhead, you know the wormwood's not done with you. Its whisper is still there, faint but persistent, and you can't help but wonder what it wants. You sit by the fire, its glow casting flickering shadows across the cottage walls, the herbs overhead swaying like silent watchers. The warmth is a small comfort, but it does little to loosen the knot in your chest. Tobin's words, Brenna's unease, the memory of that breath against your door, they weave together, a tapestry of dread you can't unravel. You're a farmer, Torin, nothing more. Your life is the field, the barley, the rhythm of the seasons. Yet the wormwood shadow clings to you, its whisper a thread you can't cut. You stoke the fire, adding a log, and try to focus on the present. The cracked bucket you mended sits by the hearth, the needle and thread still on the table. There's always work to do, tools to sharpen, a loose board in the floor to nail down. But today the cottage feels like a cage, the village a thin shield against the forest's reach. You decide to stay busy, to keep your hands moving and your mind tethered to the ordinary. You grab a whetstone from the chest and your old knife, its blade nicked from years of cutting twine and skinning the occasional rabbit. The stone's rasp against the steel is steady, a sound you can lose yourself in. You work methodically, the blade gleaming sharper with each pass, but your eyes keep drifting to the shutters, the barred door. The wind outside is soft, barely a murmur, yet every rustle makes you pause, half expecting that guttural sound from the wormwood to return. You shake your head, muttering to yourself to focus. The knife doesn't care about forests or whispers. It just needs to cut. Midday comes, the light through the shutters growing brighter, though the air stays cool. You set the knife aside, its edge keen enough to split a hair, and move to the loose floorboard near the bed. It's been creaking worse lately, a small annoyance you've ignored too long. You fetch a hammer and a few iron nails from the shed outside, moving quickly to avoid lingering in the open. The village is alive now. Children shout in the square, a cart rumbles past, the blacksmith's hammer rings steady. But there's a tension beneath it, a tightness in the voices, a quickness in the glances toward the wormwood. You slip back inside, barring the door again, and kneel by the floorboard. The work is simple, the hammer's thud satisfying as you drive the nails into the wood. Each strike feels like a small act of defiance, a way to reclaim your space from the forest's creeping influence. But as you work, you hear it. A sound, faint but unmistakable, like a twig snapping just beyond the cottage wall. You freeze, hammer raised, your breath shallow. The village noises continue, distant and unbothered, but this sound is closer, deliberate. You set the hammer down, slow and silent, and move to the nearest shutter, peering through a narrow gap. The garden patch is empty, the snares untouched, the fence standing firm. Beyond it, the wormwood looms, its trees still, their shadows long and sharp. Nothing moves, yet the air feels charged, like the moment before a storm breaks. You wait, heart thudding, but the sound doesn't come again. You tell yourself it's a squirrel, a falling branch, anything but what your gut insists it is. You return to the floorboard, finishing the job with hurried strikes, the nails sinking deep. The board's solid now, the creak gone, but the victory feels hollow. You stand wiping sweat from your brow and realize you're gripping the hammer like a weapon. You set it down, shaking your head. You're jumping at shadows, letting Gaveth and Mara and the village's fear get to you. But deep down, you know it's more than that. The wormwood's not just a forest, it's something alive, something that sees you. You decide to head to the square again, needing the noise of people, the grounding weight of Eldergrove's daily grind. You grab your cloak, check the door's bar one last time, and step outside. The village is bustling, folk moving with purpose, women hauling water, men driving carts, children darting between them, but the air is thick with unease, conversations hushed, eyes flicking to the forest's edge. You spot old Mara by her doorstep, her shawl tight around her shoulders, muttering to a group of women. She catches your eye, her gaze sharp, and beckons you over with a bony hand. You approach, the dirt crunching under your boots, and she fixes you with a look that cuts through the morning's haze. "Torin," she says, her voice low, like she's guarding a secret. "You heard it again, didn't you? The forest's voice." You hesitate, the snap outside your cottage fresh in your mind. "Heard something," you admit, keeping your tone even. "By my place, just now, probably nothing." Her lips purse, her eyes narrowing. "Nothing don't make the hairs on your neck stand up," she says. "The wormwood's stirring, mark my words. It's been quiet too long, and now it's hungry." The women around her murmur, their faces pale, and one makes a sign against evil, her fingers quick and nervous. You shift, uneasy under Mara's stare. "What's it want?" you ask, though you dread the answer. She leans closer, her breath sharp with the scent of herbs. It wants what it always wants, someone to listen, someone to walk its paths. And it's chosen you, Torin, whether you like it or not. She pauses, her eyes softening, just a fraction. You're no fool. You feel it, don't you? The pull, like a hook in your bones. Your stomach twists, Gaveth's words echoing hers. You want to deny it, to say you're just a farmer, but the truth is there, sharp as a blade. You felt it, the weight of the forest's gaze, the whisper that knows your name. "What do I do?" you ask, your voice quieter than you mean. Mara snorts, a dry, bitter sound. "Do? You can't outrun the wormwood, lad, but you can be ready. Keep your wits sharp, your door barred, and don't go near the trees, not till you know what it wants." She turns away, muttering to the women, dismissing you without another word. You stand there, the square's bustle fading to a hum, Mara's words sinking deep. "The wormwood's chosen you," she said, and the thought makes your skin crawl. You're about to head to Brenna's for a mug of ale, something to dull the edge, when you spot a figure at the square's edge. Gaveth, his patched cloak unmistakable, his staff tapping the ground. He's watching you, his flinty eyes steady, and your heart stumbles. He doesn't approach, just stands there like he's waiting for you to come to him. You turn away, your steps quick, and head for the alehouse instead. The warmth inside is a relief, the scent of bread and ale wrapping around you. Brenna's at the counter, pouring for a handful of farmers, their voices low and tense. You take a stool, tossing a copper down, and she slides a mug your way. "Back already?" she says, one eyebrow raised. "Thought you'd be in the field by now." "Needed a break," you mutter, taking a sip. The ale's bitter, strong, but it does little to ease the tightness in your chest. You glance at the door, half expecting Gaveth to walk in, But the square outside is clear. Brenna leans on the counter, her eyes searching your face. You saw him, didn't you? The old man. You nod, the mug heavy in your hands. He's out there now, just standing, watching. She frowns, wiping her hands on her apron. He's been around too much lately. Folk are starting to talk. Say he's no ordinary wanderer, that he knows the wormwood better than anyone should. She lowers her voice, glancing at the other patrons. Some think he's part of it, like he's tied to whatever's stirring. You swallow, the ale turning sour in your mouth. He told me the forest's waking, you say. Said it knows my name. Brenna's eyes widen, just for a moment, before she masks it with a scoff. Sounds like he's trying to scare you, but she hesitates, then adds, Be careful, Torin. Whatever's going on, it's got the whole village on edge. And you're right in the middle of it. You finish your ale, the words settling like stones. The alehouse feels too small, the voice is too loud, and you need air. You thank Brenna, leaving another copper, and step outside. Gavith is gone, the square empty where he stood, but his absence feels like a trick, like he's still watching from somewhere you can't see. The wormwood looms in the distance, its trees a dark smear against the sky. You head home, the cottages creak a faint comfort, but as you bar the door and stoke the fire, you know there's no escaping it. The forest's whisper is louder now, a call you can't ignore, and you're starting to fear what it'll ask of you next. You sit by the hearth, its glow a flickering shield against the growing unease that's settled over your cottage. The door is barred, the shutters checked, but the wormwood's presence feels like it's seeping through the walls, a cold breath you can't shut out. The herbs overhead sway in the draft, their scent sharp but no longer comforting. You try to focus on the familiar, the creak of the floor, the weight of the knife you sharpened, the bucket you mended, but it's no use. Gavith's stare, Mara's warnings, Brenna's hushed fears. They're all threads in a net that's tightening around you. You're a farmer, Torin, not a hero, yet the forest seems to have other plans, and its whisper lingers in your bones like a fever. You rise, restless, and pace the small room, your boots scuffing the floorboards. The day's not done. There's always something to mend, to clean, to prepare. But the thought of stepping outside again, even to the garden patch, makes your stomach twist. The wormwood's too close, its shadow too heavy. You settle for checking your tools instead, pulling the chest open and sorting through the hoe, the dibber, a rusted trowel. You run your thumb along the hoe's edge, noting a dull spot that needs the whetstone. But your mind's elsewhere, replaying the snap outside, the rustle by the snares, the breath against the door. Each sound feels like a piece of a puzzle you're afraid to solve. The light through the shutters fades, the day slipping into afternoon. You stoke the fire, the logs hissing as they catch, and set a pot of water to boil, tossing in the last of your dried beans. A simple meal, but it'll fill you, and the act of cooking keeps your hands busy. As the beans simmer, you sit at the table staring at the knife, its blade glinting in the firelight. It's no sword, no weapon for a night, but it's yours, and the thought of carrying it tonight feels like a small defiance against the forest's pull. You slip it into your belt, the weight reassuring, though you know it's little match for whatever's stirring in the wormwood. A knock at the door jolts you, sharp and sudden. Your heart leaps, and you're on your feet, hand on the knife before you can think. The village is quiet this time of day. Folk busy with their own hearths, so who'd come now? You move to the door, slow and silent, and listen. Another knock, softer this time, followed by a voice, low, familiar. Torin, it's Tobin. You exhale, tension easing but not gone, and unbar the door. Tobin stands there, his broad frame filling the doorway, his face etched with worry. His son, a wiry boy of 10 named Cal, hovers behind him, clutching a sack, his eyes wide and darting toward the wormwood. Can we come in? Tobin asks, his voice tight. You nod, stepping aside, and bar the door again once they're inside. The cottage feels smaller with them here. The fire's glow barely reaching the corners. Tobin sets the sack on the table, a few turnips, a loaf of bread. Thought you might need this, he says, but his eyes are on you, searching. Cal wouldn't stay at the mill. Keeps saying he hears things. You glance at the boy who's pressed against his father, his face pale. What'd you hear, Cal? you ask, keeping your voice gentle. He swallows, his voice barely a whisper. Voices in the trees, not words, but like they're calling. And eyes, Torin. I saw 'em last night, glowing like the stories. His hands tremble, and Tobin rests a heavy hand on his shoulder. You nod, the boy's words stirring the memory of that whisper, that presence at your door. I've heard things too, you admit, glancing at Tobin, and seen something. A shadow in the forest. Tobin's jaw tightens and he pulls Cal closer. It's not just us, he says. Half the village is whispering about it now. Strange sounds, missing animals, dreams that don't feel like dreams. And that Gavith, he's been seen near the forest's edge, just standing like he's waiting for something to come out. Your stomach churns, Gavith's flinty eyes flashing in your mind. He spoke to me, you say, your voice low. Said the wormwood's waking, that it knows my name. Mara said the same, that it's chosen me. Cal's eyes widen and Tobin curses under his breath. Chosen you for what? He asks, but there's no answer, only the weight of the question hanging between you. You shake your head, stirring the beans, the steam rising in curls. I don't know. I'm no one, Tobin, just a farmer. But it's like the forest. Sees me. He nods, slow, like he's piecing it together. Maybe it's not about who you are, he says. Maybe it's about where you are. Your field, your cottage. They're closer to the wormwood than most. Maybe it's just reaching out. The thought doesn't comfort you. You ladle the beans into bowls, passing one to Tobin and Cal, and break the bread he brought. The meal is quiet, the fires crackle, the only sound besides Cal's soft chewing. You eat mechanically, the food tasteless, your mind on the forest. When you're done, Tobin leans back, his eyes on the door. We'll stay at the mill tonight, he says. Bar the doors. Keep the fire high. You should do the same, Torin. And maybe talk to Gavith. If anyone knows what's happening, it's him. You nod, though the idea of facing Gavith again makes your skin crawl. I'll think on it, you say, but the words feel empty. Tobin and Cal leave, the boy clinging to his father's side, and you bar the door behind them, the latch clicking into place with a finality that feels too fragile. The cottage is quiet now. The fire's glow dimming as the logs burn low. You sit, staring at the flames, the knife at your belt a cold weight. The wormwood's out there, its whisper growing louder, its shadow creeping closer. You're no hero, no sage, but you can't ignore it anymore. Gavith knows something, and Mara's right. You can't outrun the forest. You check the shutters, the door, and climb into bed, the straw mattress crunching beneath you. Sleep feels far off, the night heavy with the forest's call. As your eyes drift shut, you hear it again, a faint, deliberate rustle just outside the cottage, and you know, deep in your bones, that the wormwood is waiting for you. You wake to the faint creak of the cottage floorboards, the dawn's pale light barely filtering through the shutters. The air is cold, heavy with the scent of ash from the fire that burned out in the night. Your blanket is tangled, the straw mattress prickling beneath you, a reminder of the restless sleep haunted by dreams of dark trees and a whisper that seemed to curl around your name. You lie still, listening to Eldergrove's morning stir, a rooster's crow, the distant clank of a bucket. But the sounds feel distant, overshadowed by the wormwood's silent pull. It's out there waiting, and you can't shake the feeling that it's closer now, its presence pressing against the cottage like a hand on the door. You rise, your breath visible in the chill, and shuffle to the hearth. The ashes are gray, lifeless, but you kneel and strike the flint, coaxing a spark to catch the kindling. The flames grow slowly, their warmth a frail defense against the unease that's rooted deep in your gut. You pull on your tunic, its wool worn and rough, and lace your boots, the mud caked on them a badge of your days in the field. There's no food left, just a sip of water from the bucket, its mineral tang sharp and bracing. You try to plan the day, check the barley, maybe visit Brenna for bread. But Tobin's words, Cal's frightened eyes, and Gavith's cryptic warnings crowd your thoughts, making the ordinary feel like a lie. You glance at the barred door, the knife at your belt a cold comfort. The wormwood's call is louder today, not a sound but a weight, a tug in your bones that you can't ignore. You want to stay inside to bar the door and wait for this to pass, but you know it won't. Mara said you can't outrun the forest, and Gavith's flinty gaze seemed to promise answers, even if they're ones you dread. You grab your cloak, it's patched wool heavy, and slip the knife sheath more securely into your belt. You unbar the door, the hinges groaning, and step outside, the air sharp with pine and dew. Eldergrove is waking, its thatched roofs catching the first light. But the village feels subdued, the usual bustle tempered by a quiet fear. Folk move quickly, their eyes darting to the wormwood's dark edge, their voices hushed. You head to the square, needing the grounding hum of people, the familiar rhythm of the village. The well is busy, women hauling water, children trailing behind, but their chatter is low, their glances nervous. You spot Brenna outside her alehouse, sweeping the doorstep, her braids swinging as she works. She looks up, her eyes sharp, and nods you over. "Torin," she says, leaning on her broom. "You're up early." "Look like you haven't slept a wink." You grunt, rubbing the back of your neck. "Haven't," you admit. "Too many noises in the night." Her face tightens and she steps closer, lowering her voice. "You're not alone." "Half the village was up, swearing they heard things, rustles, whispers, worse. Tobin's boy won't leave his side, and Mara's got folk praying to the old gods." She glances at the wormwood, her eyes narrowing. "And Gavith was here again just before dawn. Didn't come in, just stood by the well, staring at the forest like he was listening to it." Your heart stumbles, the memory of Gavith's stare burning in your mind. "He say anything?" you ask, your voice rough. Brenna shakes her head. "Not a word, but he left something." She reaches into her apron and pulls out a small object, a stone, smooth and black, etched with a single rune that glints faintly in the light. "Found it by the well after he was gone. Thought you should see it." You take the stone, its weight cold and heavy in your palm. The rune is unfamiliar, its lines sharp and twisting like a thorn caught in a web. It feels alive almost, a faint warmth pulsing against your skin. "What's it mean?" you ask, though you're not sure you want the answer. Brenna shrugs, her eyes troubled. "Don't know, but it's no ordinary rock. Mara might, or Gavith himself." She hesitates, then adds, "Be careful, Torin. Whatever's happening, it's got you in its sights." You slip the stone into your pocket, its weight a constant reminder, and thank Brenna. The square feels too open now, the village too small against the wormwood's shadow. You're about to head home when you see him. Gavith, at the far edge of the square, his patched cloak unmistakable, his staff tapping the ground. He's not watching you, not directly, but you feel his gaze all the same, like a hook in your chest. Your first instinct is to turn away, to retreat to the cottage and bar the door, but something stops you. Mara's words echo. You can't outrun the wormwood, and Tobin's advice to talk to Gavith rings true. If anyone knows what the forest wants, it's him. You take a breath, steeling yourself, and walk toward him. The square's bustle fades, the voices and clatter dimming as you approach. Gavith doesn't move, his eyes fixed on the wormwood, but he speaks as you draw near, his voice low and rough. "You feel it, don't you, Torin? The forest's call." You stop a few paces away, the stone heavy in your pocket, the knife at your belt a small anchor. "I feel something," you say, your voice steadier than you feel. "Heard it too, rustles, whispers, something at my door. What does it want?" Gavith turns, his flinty eyes meeting yours, and you see something in them, not pity, but a weary understanding, like he's carried this burden before. "The wormwood is old," he says, "older than Vern, older than the gods men pray to. It's not just trees and earth, it's a living thing with a will of its own. And it's waking, stirring after centuries of sleep." You swallow, the runestone's warmth pulsing against your thigh. "Why me?" you ask. "I'm no one, just a farmer." He smiles, thin and sharp, like a blade's edge. "The forest doesn't care for kings or heroes. It chooses those who stand at its edge, those who feel its pulse. Your field, your cottage, they're closer than most. You've walked its shadow, Torin, and it's seen you." Your stomach twists, Mara's words echoing his. "What does it want me to do?" you ask, dreading the answer. Gavith's eyes darken, and he leans on his staff, the runes carved into it glinting faintly. "It wants you to listen," he says, "to walk its paths, to see what it sees. There's something in its heart, something bound long ago, and it's breaking free. The wormwood needs a guide, someone to face it. You shake your head, stepping back. I'm no guide. I don't know the forest, don't want to. Let it choose someone else. His smile fades, replaced by something heavier. It's not a choice, Torn. The wormwood's marked you. You can fight it, bar your door, stay in the village, but it'll find you. The whispers will grow, the shadows will move until you answer. He pauses, glancing at the stone in your pocket as if he knows it's there. That rune is a ward, a small protection. Keep it close. You'll need it. You want to argue, to shove the stone back at him and walk away, but the truth in his words stops you. You've felt the forest's pull, heard its call, seen its shadow. You pull the stone out, its rune catching the light. What's it for? You ask, your voice low. Gaveth's eyes soften, just a fraction. It's a piece of the wormwood's heart, carved long ago to bind what stirs. It'll guide you when the time comes. But it's no shield, Torin. Only your will can face what's waking. He turns, his cloak swirling, and walks toward the wormwood, his staff tapping the ground. You stand there, the stone heavy in your hand, the village's hum returning like a distant tide. The square is alive again, folk moving, voices rising, but you feel alone, the forest's gaze fixed on you. You slip the stone back into your pocket and head home, the cottage's creak a faint comfort. Inside, you bar the door, stoke the fire, and sit, the knife at your belt, the rune stone a burning weight. The wormwood's waiting, its whisper louder now, and you know, deep in your bones, that you can't run forever. You sit by the fire, the rune stone heavy in your pocket, its faint warmth a constant reminder of Gaveth's words. The cottage is quiet, the flames casting long shadows that dance across the walls. But the silence feels oppressive, like the wormwood's presence is pressing in from all sides. The knife at your belt is a small comfort, its weight familiar, but it's no match for the forest's ancient will. You try to focus on the ordinary, the creak of the floorboards, the faint scent of the herbs overhead, the steady pop of the fire. But your mind keeps circling back to Gaveth's warning. The wormwood's marked you. The whispers will grow, the shadows will move, until you answer. You rise, restless, and pace the small room, your boots scuffing the newly nailed floorboard. The day's light is fading, the shutters glowing with the soft gray of late afternoon. You should eat, mend something, do anything to keep your hands busy, but the thought of routine feels hollow. The village is out there. Eldergrove's hum a faint backdrop, but it feels distant, like a memory of a safer time. You stop by the table, your fingers brushing the knife's handle, and glance at the barred door. The wormwood's call is stronger now, a tug in your chest that's harder to ignore, and you know staying locked inside won't make it stop. You decide to check the garden patch one last time before night falls, if only to prove to yourself you're not afraid. You grab your cloak, the patched wool heavy, and slip the rune stone into a small pouch at your belt next to the knife. The door groans as you unbar it, and you step outside, the air cool and sharp with pine. Eldergrove is settling into evening, lanterns flickering in windows, the square nearly empty. The wormwood looms at the village's edge, its trees black against the deepening sky, their branches swaying faintly, though the wind is still. You move quickly to the garden, your boots sinking into the soft earth, and check the snares. They're empty as always. The rabbit's long gone, but you pause, your eyes drawn to the forest's edge. The trees are silent, no rustles or growls, but the darkness between them feels alive, pulsing with a rhythm you can almost hear. You grip the rune stone through the pouch, its warmth steadying you, and scan the undergrowth. Nothing moves, yet the air is thick, charged, like the moment before thunder. You're about to turn back when you see it, a flicker deep in the trees, not a shadow, but a light, faint and greenish, like a lantern swaying in the gloom. Your heart stumbles, and you freeze, torn between running and staring. The light pulses, slow and deliberate, then fades, leaving only darkness. You back away, your hand on the knife, and hurry to the cottage, barring the door with shaking hands. The fire's glow is a small refuge, but your pulse races, the memory of that light burning in your mind. It wasn't natural, not a torch or a firefly, but something older, tied to the forest's heart. You sit, the runestone pouch on the table, and try to make sense of it. Gaveth said the stone would guide you, that something in the wormwood is breaking free. The light, the whispers, the shadows, they're all part of it, and you're caught in the middle, whether you want to be or not. You stoke the fire, adding logs to keep it burning through the night, and checked the shutters again, tugging each one to be sure. The cottage feels smaller, the walls too thin against the forest's reach. You pull the runestone from its pouch, its black surface glinting in the firelight, the rune's sharp lines seeming to shift as you turn it. It's warm, almost hot, and you wonder what it's meant to do, what path it's meant to guide you down. You set it on the table next to the knife and sit, staring into the flames, trying to summon the courage to face what's coming. A knock at the door breaks the silence, sharp and urgent. You're on your feet, knife in hand, your heart pounding. It's late for visitors, and Tobin's already been. You move to the door, slow and silent, and listen. Another knock, followed by a voice. Old Mara's, cracked but steady. Torin, open the door. We need to talk. You hesitate, the knife still in your grip, then unbar the door. Mara stands there, her shawl tight around her shoulders, her eyes sharp despite the hour. Behind her is Brenna, her face pale, a lantern in her hand casting flickering shadows. You step aside, letting them in, and bar the door again. The cottage feels crowded, the fire's glow barely reaching their faces. What's this about, you ask, your voice rough, the rune stone and knife still on the table. Mara's eyes flick to the stone, narrowing. You saw something, she says, not a question. In the wormwood just now. Don't lie, lad. I can see it in your face. You swallow, the memory of the green light vivid. A light, you admit. In the trees, faint like a lantern. It pulsed, then vanished. Brenna's breath catches and Mara nods like she expected it. It's begun, she says, her voice low. The wormwood's heart is stirring, and that light's a sign. Something's waking, something bound long ago, and it's calling you to face it. You shake your head, stepping back. I'm no hero, Mara. I don't know what it wants, don't want to. Why me? Brenna speaks, her voice softer but firm. Because you're here, Torin. Your land, your cottage, it's closest to the forest. And that stone, she points to the rune stone, her hand trembling slightly. Gaveth left it for you, didn't he? It's no accident. Mara steps closer, her eyes boring into yours. The wormwood's chosen you, like I said. That light, that stone, they're tied to what's waking. You can't run from it, but you can prepare. Keep that stone close and listen when the forest calls. It'll show you the path, whether you're ready or not. You want to argue, to shove the stone at them and lock the door, but the truth in their words stops you. The light, the whispers, Gaveth's warnings, they're all real, and you're at the center. What do I do? You ask, your voice barely above a whisper. Mara's face softens just a fraction. Stay sharp, lad. Bar your door. Keep your fire high and don't go near the trees till you're ready. But when the time comes, and it will, you'll need to walk the wormwood's paths. That stone will guide you, but it's your will that'll carry you through. Brenna nods, her lantern flickering. We're with you, Torin. The village is scared, but we'll stand together. Just don't face it alone. They leave. Mara's parting glance heavy with warning. Brenna's softer, but no less urgent. You bar the door, the latch clicking into place, and sit, the runestone and knife before you. The fire pops, the night stretching long and heavy. You climb into bed, the straw mattress crunching, and pull the blanket tight, the stone's weight at your belt. Sleep is a distant hope. The wormwoods whisper louder now, the green light's pulse lingering in your mind. You know deep in your bones that the forest's call is only growing stronger, and soon you'll have to answer. You wake to the faint creak of the cottage's shutters, the dawn's gray light slipping through like a reluctant guest. The air is cold, the fire reduced to a pile of ash, and the blanket is twisted around you from a night of fitful sleep. Dreams of the wormwood haunted you, green lights pulsing in the dark, whispers curling through the trees, a shadow that seemed to know your name. You lie still, the straw mattress prickling beneath you, and listen to Elder Grove's morning sounds, a dog's bark, the distant thud of an axe, but they feel far away, drowned by the forest's silent weight. The runestone at your belt, tucked in its pouch, is warm against your hip, a constant reminder of the path you're being pulled toward. You rise, your body stiff from tension and the chill, and shuffle to the hearth. The ashes are cold, but you strike the flint with practiced hands, coaxing a spark to catch the kindling. The flames grow slowly, their warmth a small defiance against the dread that settled in your bones. You pull on your tunic, its wool rough and familiar, and lace your boots, the mud now a part of them. There's no food, just a sip of water from the bucket, its sharp tang waking you further. You try to think of the day, check the field, maybe barter for bread, but the green light you saw, Mara's words, and Gavith's cryptic promise crowd your thoughts, making the ordinary feel like a fragile mask. You glance at the barred door, the knife at your belt a cold anchor. The wormwood's call is stronger now, a pulse in your chest that's harder to ignore, and the runestone's warmth feels like a beckoning hand. You want to stay inside, to hide from the forest's gaze, but Mara's warning echoes, "You can't outrun the wormwood," and Brenna's plea, "Don't face it alone," tugs at you. You need answers, and Gavith, for all his unsettling presence, is the only one who seems to know what's stirring. You grab your cloak, its patched wool heavy, and check the runestone's pouch, the knife's sheath, before unbarring the door. The hinges groan, and you step outside, the air sharp with pine and the faint smoke of morning fires. Eldergrove is stirring, its thatched roofs catching the dawn's light, but the village feels hushed, the usual chatter replaced by hurried steps and lowered voices. Folk glance at the wormwood, their faces drawn, and you catch snippets of their talk, missing chickens, strange tracks near the mill, dreams that leave them shaking. You head to the square, hoping to find Gavith, or at least some news to ground you. The well is quiet, only a few women hauling water, their eyes darting to the forest's edge. You spot Tobin by his cart, loading sacks of flour, his son Cal clinging to his side, his face pale and watchful. "Torin!" Tobin calls, waving you over. His voice is low, his eyes scanning the square. "You all right?" "Cal's been up all night, saying he heard whispers again." You nod, the runestone heavy at your belt. "Heard things too," you say, keeping your voice steady. "Saw something last night. A light in the wormwood, green, like a lantern, pulsed and vanished." Tobin's face tightens and Cal's eyes widen, his grip on his father's arm tightening. "That's what I saw," Cal whispers, his voice trembling. "In my dream, a green light moving through the trees. It knew me." Tobin curses under his breath, pulling Cal closer. "This ain't right," he says. "The village is spooked, Torin. Folk are talking about leaving, heading to the King's Road, but I don't know if that's safer. You seen Gavith?" You shake your head, the memory of his flinty eyes sharp. "Not since yesterday. He left me this." You pull the runestone from its pouch, its black surface glinting, the rune's lines twisting in the light. "Said it's a ward to guide me. Said the wormwood's waking and I'm part of it." Tobin stares at the stone, his jaw working. "Guide you where?" he asks, but there's no answer, only the weight of the question. He glances at Cal, then back at you. "Stay close to the village, Torin, and if you see Gavith, make him talk. He knows more than he's saying." You nod, slipping the stone back into its pouch, and head toward Brenna's alehouse, needing the warmth, the noise, anything to dull the forest's pull. The square is busier now, but the air is thick with fear, folk moving like they're bracing for a storm. Brenna's at the counter, her braid loose, her hands busy pouring ale for a handful of farmers. She spots you and slides a mug your way, her eyes searching your face. "Torin," she says, her voice low, "you look like you're carrying the wormwood itself." You take the mug, the ale's bitterness grounding you. "Might be," you mutter, then recount the green light, the rune stone, Gavith's words. Her face pales, but she listens, her hands still on the counter. "That light," she says when you're done. "Old stories talk of it, will-o'-wisps, they called 'em, tied to the wormwood's heart. Not just lights, but signs, leading folk to what the forest wants them to find." She pauses, glancing at the door. "If it's calling you, Torin, you need to be ready. That stone's no trinket, it's got power whether you want it or not." You swallow, the runestone's warmth pulsing at your belt. I don't want it, you say, your voice rough. I just want my field, my cottage, my life. Brenna's eyes soften, but her voice is firm. The wormwood doesn't care what you want. But you're not alone, Torin. We'll stand with you, Mara, Tobin, me, find Gaveth. Make him tell you what's coming. You finish the ale, leaving a copper, and step outside. The square feels too open, the wormwood's shadow too close. You're about to head home when you see him. Gaveth, standing at the village's edge, his staff planted in the dirt, his cloak fluttering in a breeze you don't feel. He's facing the wormwood, but as you approach, he turns, his flinty eyes locking onto yours. Your heart pounds, but you keep walking, the rune stone and knife steadying you. Torin, he says, his voice low, rough as the wind over the hills. You saw the light. You stop, a few paces away, your hand on the knife. I did, you say. Green, pulsing in the trees. What is it? What's the wormwood want with me? Gaveth's eyes darken, and he leans on his staff, the runes carved into it glinting faintly. The light is a beacon, he says, a sign of what's waking in the forest's heart. Long ago, something was bound there, something ancient, powerful, tied to the wormwood's will. It's stirring now, breaking free, and the forest needs you to face it. You shake your head, the runestone burning at your belt. Face what? I'm no warrior, no sage. I don't even know the forest's paths. His smile is thin, weary. You don't need to know them. The wormwood will show you. That stone, he nods to your belt. It's a piece of the binding, carved to hold what's waking. It'll guide you to the heart, but you must choose to walk the path. I don't want to, you say, your voice breaking. Choose someone else. Gaveth steps closer, his eyes boring into yours. There is no one else, Torin. The wormwood's marked you, your land, your life, your will. You can fight it, hide in your cottage, but the whispers will find you, the light will call. And if you don't answer, it'll come for Eldergrove. Your breath catches, the village's roofs glowing faintly in the distance. Come for the village? What do you mean? His voice drops, heavy with warning. What's waking is hungry. It's been bound for centuries, and now it's free. If you don't face it, it'll spread through the forest, through the valley, until nothing's left. The wormwood chose you to stop it, Torin. You're its guide, whether you're ready or not. You want to run, to shove the stone at him and flee, but the truth in his words roots you. The whispers, the light, the shadow, they're real and they're coming. You pull the runestone out, its warmth almost searing. How do I stop it? You ask, your voice barely a whisper. Gaveth's eyes soften, just a fraction. Walk the wormwood's paths, follow the light. The stone will show you the way, but it's your courage that'll carry you. You're not alone. Eldergrove will stand with you, and I'll be near. But the heart is yours to face. He turns, his cloak swirling, and walks toward the forest, his staff tapping the ground. You stand there, the runestone heavy in your hand, the village's hum a faint comfort. The wormwood looms, its trees a dark promise, and you know the time for hiding is over. You head home. The cottages creak a small anchor and bar the door. The fires glow a fleeting shield. The runestone sits on the table, its rune glinting, and you know deep in your bones that tomorrow you'll have to face the forest's call. You wake to the soft creak of the cottage's floorboards, the dawn's pale light barely piercing the gloom. The air is cold, heavy with the scent of ash from the fire you kept burning through the night. Your blanket is tangled, the straw mattress stiff beneath you, and your dreams were a jumble of green lights and whispers, the wormwood's call weaving through them like a thread. You lie still, the runestone's warmth pulsing faintly at your belt, a reminder of Gaveth's words. You must walk the wormwood's paths. The thought sits heavy in your gut, but Eldergrove's morning sounds, a child's shout, the distant clatter of a cart, pull you back, grounding you in the familiar, if only for a moment. You rise, your body aching from tension more than work, and shuffle to the hearth. The fire's low but alive, and you add a log, the flames flaring with a comforting crackle. You pull on your tunic, its wool rough against your skin, and lace your boots, the mud a permanent stain. There's no food left, just a sip of water from the bucket, its sharp tang waking you further. You try to plan the day, check the barley, barter for supplies, but the wormwood's pull is stronger now, a steady drumbeat in your chest. Gavith's warning about the village, the hungry thing waking in the forest's heart, looms over you, making the ordinary feel like a fading dream. You glance at the barred door, the knife at your belt a cold weight, the runestone a burning one. You want to stay here, to hide in the cottage's small safety, but the truth is clear. The wormwood won't let you. Mara said it, Gavith confirmed it, and the green light you saw was no trick. You need to prepare, to gather what strength you can from Eldergrove before facing the forest. You grab your cloak, its patched wool heavy, and check the runestone's pouch, the knife sheath, before unbarring the door. The hinges groan and you step outside, the air crisp with pine and the faint smoke of morning fires. Eldergrove is awake, its thatched roofs glowing in the dawn, but the village is tense. Folk moving with hurried steps, their eyes flicking to the wormwood's dark edge. The square is busier than yesterday, carts lined up, voices low and urgent. You catch fragments of talk, more missing animals, strange tracks near the stream, a child claiming to see glowing eyes in the night. The fear is palpable, a current running through the village, and you feel it too, sharp and cold. You head to Brenna's alehouse, needing her steady presence, her sharp insight, and maybe a loaf of bread to fill the hollow in your gut. Brenna's at the counter, her braid tight, her hands busy kneading dough. The alehouse is quieter than usual, only a few farmers nursing mugs, their faces drawn. She spots you and nods, sliding a small loaf your way without a word, her eyes searching your face. "Torin," she says, wiping flour from her hands. "You've got that look again, like you're halfway to the wormwood already." You take the bread, its warmth grounding you, and manage a grim smile. "Might be," you say, tearing off a piece. "Talked to Gavith yesterday. He says something's waking in the forest, something hungry, says I've got to face it, or it'll come for the village." Brenna's face pales, but her jaw sets, her eyes steady. "He told you true," she says, her voice low. "The old stories, my gran used to tell 'em, say the wormwood holds something ancient, bound by runes and blood. If it's breaking free, it's no small thing." She glances at the runestone pouch at your belt, visible under your cloak. "That stone's part of it, isn't it?" You nod, pulling it out, its black surface glinting in the dim light. "Gavith says it'll guide me to the forest's heart. Says I'm the one to stop it." She leans closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "Then you need to be ready, Torin. Not just you, the village. We can't fight what's in the wormwood, but we can stand with you. Keep Eldergrove safe while you do what you must." She pauses, her eyes softening. "You're not alone, you hear? Mara's gathering folk to pray. Tobin's talking about arming the men. We'll do our part." You swallow, the bread heavy in your hand. Brenna's words a small spark of hope against the dread. "I don't know if I can do this," you admit, your voice rough. "I'm no hero, Brenna. I'm just a farmer." She snorts, a faint smile breaking through. "Heroes are just folk who do what's needed. You've worked the land, faced storms, kept your cottage standing. That's strength, Torin. Use it." She slides a mug of ale your way, no charge. "Go see Mara. She knows the old ways, might have something to help you." You finish the bread and ale, leaving a copper anyway, and step outside. The square is alive with nervous energy, folk clustering in small groups, their voices hushed. You spot Mara by the well, her shawl tight, her bony hands clutching a bundle of herbs. She's surrounded by a few women, their faces pale, making signs against evil as she mutters prayers to the old gods. She sees you and beckons, her eyes sharp as ever. "Torin," she says, her voice cracked but firm. "You've spoken to Gavith. You know what's coming." You nod, the runestone warm at your belt. "He says I've got to walk the wormwood's paths, face what's waking. Says the village is at stake." Mara's lips purse, her eyes flicking to the forest. "He's right," she says. "The wormwood's heart holds something old, something that feeds on fear and flesh. It's been bound since before our grandfather's time, but the bindings are breaking." She reaches into her bundle and pulls out a small pouch tied with twine. Take this. It's yarrow and ash blessed by the old gods. It won't stop what's coming, but it'll clear your mind, keep the forest's tricks at bay. You take the pouch, its scent sharp and earthy, and slip it into your cloak. What do I do, Mara? You ask, your voice low. Gaveth says the stone will guide me, but I don't know the forest. I don't know what I'm facing. Her eyes soften, but her voice is steel. You listen, lad. The wormwood'll show you the way, but it's not kind. Follow the light, trust the stone, and keep your wits sharp. The forest'll try to twist you, make you doubt, but you're stronger than you know. She pauses, gripping your arm. We're praying for you, Torin. The village'll hold, but you're the one who must walk the path. You nod, the weight of her words settling on you, and thank her, the pouch and stone heavy at your belt. The square feels too exposed now, the wormwood shadow too close. You're about to head home when you hear a shout, a man's voice sharp with fear from the village's edge. Folk turn, their faces paling, and you follow their gazes to the wormwood. There at the forest's edge is Gaveth, his staff raised, and beside him a faint green glow pulsing like the light you saw. The crowd murmurs, some stepping back, others clutching children or tools. You move toward him, your heart pounding, the knife and stone steadying you. The village falls away, the voices fading as you approach. Gaveth's eyes meet yours, his face grim but resolute. It's time, Torin, he says, his voice cutting through the air. The wormwood's calling. The light's stronger now. It'll lead you to the heart. You stop, the green glow pulsing in the trees, its rhythm matching the stone's warmth. I'm not ready, you say, your voice breaking. I don't know how to stop it. Gaveth's gaze softens, but his voice is firm. No one's ever ready, but you're chosen, Torin. The stone, the light, your will, they're enough. Walk the path. I'll be near, and Elder Grove's behind you. He steps aside, gesturing to the forest, the green light brighter now, beckoning. You glance back at the village, its roofs a faint glow, folk watching, their faces a mix of fear and hope. Brenna's there, her arms crossed, her nod steady. Mara's praying, her hands raised. Tobin's holding Cal, his jaw set. You turn to the wormwood, the light pulsing, the stone burning, and take a step, then another, the forest's edge swallowing you. The trees close in, the air thick with pine and something older, and you know, deep in your bones, that there's no turning back. The wormwood's embrace is immediate, the trees closing around you like a living wall, their branches weaving a canopy that dims the dawn's light to a muted green. The air is thick, heavy with the scent of pine, damp earth, and something older, sharper, like the breath of something ancient. Your boots sink into the soft forest floor, the moss and needles muffling your steps, and the runestone at your belt pulses, its warmth a steady guide against the chill that creeps up your spine. The knife at your side feels small, a farmer's tool against the forest's vast will, but you grip its handle, the familiar weight grounding you. The green light you saw pulses ahead, faint but deliberate, weaving through the trees like a lantern held by an unseen hand. You move forward, each step a choice, though it feels like the wormwood is pulling you deeper, its paths shifting underfoot. The trees are tall, their trunks gnarled and twisted, etched with patterns that might be runes or merely the scars of time. The air hums with a low, almost imperceptible sound. Not a whisper now, but a rhythm, like a heartbeat buried in the earth. You clutch the pouch Mara gave you, the yarrow and ash inside a faint comfort, and try to focus on the light, its glow brighter now, leading you through the maze of roots and shadows. The forest is alive, not in the way of birds or beasts. There are none, you realize, no chirps or scurries, just silence. But in the way the trees seem to lean closer, their branches brushing your cloak as if testing you. The light pulses ahead, guiding you down a narrow path where the moss glows faintly, its hue matching the beacon. You pause, your breath shallow, and glance back. Elder Grove is gone, the village swallowed by the forest's embrace, and a pang of fear grips you. You're alone, save for the stone, the knife, and the light, and the weight of Gaveth's words. You're the one to stop it, presses down like a millstone. You keep moving, the path twisting, the trees growing denser. The rune stone's warmth grows hotter, almost burning, and you pull it from its pouch. its black surface glinting in the green glow. The rune etched into it seems to shift, its lines writhing like tendrils, and you feel a pull, not just from the light, but from the stone itself, urging you forward. Mara's words echo, "Trust the stone, keep your wits sharp." You slip it back into the pouch, your hand brushing the knife, and press on. The light now a steady pulse, its rhythm matching your heartbeat. The path opens into a small clearing, the trees parting to reveal a circle of stones, each one tall and weathered, their surfaces carved with runes that mirror the one you carry. The green light hovers at the center, no longer a lantern but a sphere, pulsing softly, casting shadows that dance across the stones. The air here is heavier, charged, like the moment before lightning, and you feel the wormwood's gaze, not just watching but knowing you, its will pressing against your mind. You step into the clearing, the moss soft underfoot, and the light pulses faster as if welcoming you. You stop at the circle's edge, your hand on the knife, the runestone burning at your belt. The light speaks, not in words but in images flashing through your mind. A shadow, vast and formless, bound by chains of light. A figure, cloaked and ancient, carving runes into stone. A hunger, deep and endless, stirring in the earth. You stagger. The image is overwhelming and clutch the pouch of yarrow and ash, its scent cutting through the fog. The wormwood's heart is close, you realize, and this clearing is a threshold, a place where the forest's will is strongest. You take a breath, steadying yourself, and step toward the light. The runestone flares, its heat almost painful, and the ground trembles, a low rumble that shakes the stones. The light pulses once, brightly, then splits, revealing a path deeper into the forest, its glow marking a trail of moss and twisted roots. You hesitate, the knife in your hand now, its blade glinting in the green light. Gaveth said the stone would guide you to the heart, but this feels like stepping into a trap. The wormwood's will too vast, too ancient for a farmer to face. A sound breaks the silence. A rustle, not from the path, but from the trees behind you. You spin, knife raised, and see a figure at the clearing's edge. It's Gaveth, his cloak blending with the shadows, his staff glowing faintly with its own runes. His eyes meet yours, steady but urgent. "You're close, Torin," he says, his voice low, carrying over the hum of the forest. "The heart's near, but it's not alone. What's waking knows you're here." You lower the knife, your heart pounding. "What is it?" you ask, your voice rough. "What am I facing?" Gaveth steps closer, his staff tapping the moss. A shadow bound long ago by the old ones when the wormwood was young. It's a hunger, a will that feeds on life, and it's breaking free. The runes held it, but they're failing, and the forest needs you to bind it again or end it. You shake your head, the runestone searing at your belt. "I don't know how," you say, the words spilling out. "I'm no mage, no warrior. I can't do this." His eyes soften, but his voice is firm. "You're enough, Torin. The wormwood chose you, not for strength or magic, but for your will, your stubborn heart. The stone, the light, they'll show you the way. But you must choose to walk it." He pauses, glancing at the pulsing path. "I'll follow, but the heart is yours to face. Elder Grove's with you, even here." You look at the path, the green light steady now, its glow both a promise and a threat. The runestone burns, the yarrow pouch a faint anchor, and you feel the village behind you. Brenna's nod, Mara's prayers, Tobin's steady grip. You're a farmer, yes, but you're also Torin, and you face storms, hunger, and the land's stubborn will. You take a step, then another, the light guiding you, the trees closing in once more. Gaveth follows, a shadow at your back, and the wormwood hums, its heart calling, its hunger waking. You know, deep in your bones, that the path ahead is yours alone, and whatever lies at its end, you'll face it with all you have. The wormwood's path narrows, the trees pressing closer, their gnarled branches scraping your cloak as you follow the green light's steady pulse. The air grows thicker, heavy with the scent of damp earth and something metallic like blood or iron, and the runestone at your belt burns hotter, its warmth a beacon in the forest's oppressive gloom. Your boots sink deeper into the moss, each step pulling you toward the wormwood's heart, and the knife in your hand feels like a child's toy against the ancient will that hums through the trees. Gavith's presence behind you is a faint comfort. His staff's soft tap, a reminder you're not entirely alone, but the weight of his words, you must face it, bears down, heavy as the forest itself. The green light leads you through a tangle of roots, the path twisting like a snake, and the trees seem to shift, their trunks leaning in, their runes glinting faintly in the glow. The forest's heartbeat is louder now, a low thrum that vibrates in your chest, syncing with the runestone's pulse. You clutch the pouch of yarrow and ash, its earthy scent cutting through the wormwood's haze, and try to keep your wits sharp as Mara urged. The light pulses brighter, guiding you to a break in the trees where the path opens into a vast shadowed grove, the heart of the wormwood. The grove is dominated by a single massive tree, its trunk wider than your cottage, its roots sprawling like the limbs of some great beast. Its bark is black, etched with runes that glow faintly, and its branches twist upward, forming a canopy that blocks all but the green light. Now a pulsing sphere hovering at the tree's base. The ground is bare, the moss giving way to cracked earth, and the air is charged, thick with a power that makes your skin prickle. The runestone flares, almost too hot to bear, and you feel the forest's gaze, not just watching, but pulling. Its will, a tide you can't resist. You stop at the grove's edge, your breath shallow, the knife trembling in your grip. The green light pulses faster, its glow casting shadows that writhe across the tree's roots, and you sense it. The shadow Gavith spoke of, the hunger waking in the wormwood's heart. It's here, beneath the tree, a presence vast and formless, stirring in the earth. You glance back at Gavith, his face grim, his staff glowing with its own runes. "This is it, Torin," he says, his voice low but steady. "The heart. The binding's here, but it's breaking. You must face what's waking." You swallow, the runestone searing at your belt, and step into the grove. The ground trembles, a low rumble that shakes the roots, and the green light flares, illuminating the tree's base. There, carved into the earth, is a circle of runes, their lines pulsing with fading light, and at its center a crack, dark and deep like a wound in the world. The shadow is there. You feel it, a hunger, vast and endless, seeping from the crack. Its will pressing against your mind, whispering your name. You stagger, the knife raised, and clutch the runestone, its heat grounding you. The yarrow pouch helps, its scent clearing the fog, but the shadow's voice is strong, not words but a pull, urging you to step closer, to surrender. You resist, planting your feet, and pull the runestone from its pouch. Its rune glows, matching the tree's carvings, and you feel a surge, a connection between the stone and the binding. Gavith steps closer, his staff raised, his voice cutting through the shadow's whisper. "The stone, Torin, use it. It's the key to the binding." You nod, your heart pounding, and step toward the crack, the runestone burning in your hand. The shadow surges, a wave of darkness rising from the crack, formless but alive, its hunger a scream in your mind. You kneel at the circle's edge, the ground cold and trembling, and press the runestone into the earth where the runes meet. The stone flares, its light blinding, and the binding runes pulse, their glow strengthening. The shadow writhes, its scream deafening, but you hold fast, your will a stubborn root against its tide. The ground shakes, the tree's roots groaning, and the green light pulses wildly, merging with the runestone's glow. You feel the binding tighten, the runes flaring as they draw the shadow back, chaining it to the earth. But it fights, its hunger clawing at you, images flashing, Eldergrove burning, the village swallowed, your field blackened. You grit your teeth, the yarrow's scent sharp, and push harder, your will a farmer's strength forged in years of toil. You won't take them, you mutter, the words of vow, and the runestone burns brighter, its light searing the shadow. Gavith chants behind you, his voice a low hum, his staff's runes glowing, lending strength to the binding. The shadow weakens, its scream fading, and the crack begins to close, the runes sealing it shut. The green light dims, the tree's runes steadying, and the ground stills, the forest's heartbeat slowing. You slump, the runestone cool now, its rune faint but whole. The shadow is bound, its hunger contained, but you feel its presence still, a faint whisper in the earth waiting for another time. Gaveth kneels beside you, his hand on your shoulder, his face weary but proud. You did it, Torin, he says, his voice soft. The binding holds for now. The wormwood's heart is quiet. You nod, your breath ragged, the knife still in your hand, the rune stone heavy in the dirt. For now, you ask, your voice hoarse. He sighs, his eyes on the tree. The shadow's old, older than us. The runes will hold, but it's not gone. You've given Eldergrove time, Torin, and that's enough. You rise, shaky but whole, and look at the tree, its runes glowing softly, the green light gone. The wormwood feels different now, its will softened, though its gaze lingers. You slip the runestone back into its pouch, the yarrow pouch still at your cloak, and follow Gaveth out of the grove, the path clearer, the trees less oppressive. The forest hums, not with hunger, but with a quiet gratitude, and you feel Eldergrove ahead, its roofs a faint promise through the trees. You emerge at the forest's edge, the village glowing in the morning light, folk gathered, their faces a mix of fear and hope. Brenna's there, her arms crossed, her smile fierce. Mara's praying, her hands raised, her eyes meeting yours with a nod. Tobin's holding Cal, his grin wide. You step into the square, the runestone cool at your belt, the knife sheathed, and feel the village's strength, your strength, holding you up. The wormwood's behind you, its heart bound, but you know, deep in your bones, that its call may come again and you'll be ready.